Hi, I'm Barb and this is The Font. This is my 5th YouTube of all time and I'm feeling a lot better about being in front of the camera. But I'm not gonna lie, I am really struggling with looking at these wrinkly ass things every week staring back at me. So I have a hand-on-heart appreciation for anybody that gets in front of a camera and does this sort of thing. So I really want to thank everybody that's given me great feedback, because honestly it gives me the confidence to keep going. This week I am exploring The Shadow King by Maza Mengiste. It is the 5th of the 2020 Booker Shortlisters that I've covered, and the only one I'm not going to do is The New Wilderness because I thought I might save it for eco-fiction and new things and life goes on and whatever. Anyway, but I picked up The Shadow King. I so badly wanted to like it. I saw a lot of reviewers raving about it, saying it's so beautiful, it's so empowering. I hate that word because it's like Gatorade is empowering, I don't know. But anyway, they loved it. It celebrates women. It's about the little guy sticking it to the man, which I like. Good themes to my mind. So what's it all about anyways? It is set in Ethiopia during the Second Italo-Ethiopian War. The protagonist is an orphan called Harut, who becomes involved with a depressingly dysfunctional couple called Kidane and Aster. All of these three characters are Ethiopian. Which leads me to my first issue with the book, because I did not realize that Kidane and Aster were Ethiopian until I was 16% of the way through the book. I thought they were European. I thought maybe from Luxembourg. I don't know. Don't even judge me, it's just embarrassing. I don't even want to talk about it. So, because of that, I've been very nice and I did some research for all of you who have not read it yet, so that you can understand a little bit more about the history and you don't have to do the embarrassing stuff that I just did. So the book is set around 1935 onwards. Ethiopia, formerly Abyssinia, is an uncolonized sovereign state with Haile Selassie as its emperor. This is extremely rare. The only other example of an African country not snapped up in the European scramble for Africa is Liberia, which is the size of a Tic Tac. Italy, with Mussolini at the helm, wants Ethiopia badly for two reasons. Firstly, because it's between them and the coastal colonies of Eritrea and Somalia. Secondly, Ethiopia managed to defeat Italy's first attempt to colonize them in 1896 during the reign of Menelik II. It was a humiliating defeat for Italy. When Mussolini invades Ethiopia in October 1935, he arms his soldiers to a ridiculous degree. It is complete and utter overkill. He fortifies his army with troops recruited from the Italian colonies. He's got guns, he's got tanks, he's got planes, the lot. And he has mustard gas, which isn't that nice of him, the prick. In contrast, Ethiopia's forces consist of soldiers with allegiances to individual warlords. They have very, very few guns, most of which are very old, and they rely on the somewhat rustic strategy of guerrilla insurgency to retaliate. Haile Selassie is exiled in 1936, and he does not return until 1941. Once you know the history of Ethiopia, the story becomes very simple. It is a classic David versus Goliath struggle. Characters that would normally not have their stories told, that would be in the shadow, well, they become seen, they light up. And the main example is Harut, who is a lowly servant and an orphan. Well, she becomes a warrior. These normally marginal figures light up everywhere like mad gophers. The book is actually named after a guy called Minim, which literally means nothing. He becomes famous because he impersonates the exiled Haile Selassie and motivates the beleaguered Ethiopians to fight against Italy. Interestingly, and this is something I really liked, the author throws shade on figures that normally would be lit up and take center stage. Haile Selassie, for instance, seems confined and small. He is haunted by the ghost of his daughter, and he listens over and over to an opera. I saw him as ineffective and lonely. And we see Carlos, who is a merciless Italian commander. He's frightened and symbolically castrated. There's nothing heroic or magnificent in either of these characters. A character that really caught my eye was Ettore. Now he's a Jewish Italian photographer that Harut is traveling to see to give him the box of photos that he took during the war. Do you know, I couldn't really work him out because he's neither in the light or the shade. He's not really good or bad. This is a true story. I'm sitting there thinking about this out loud, and Isabella, who does the camera and the editing of the font, is sitting on the phone, and she looks up and she says, "He's a torch." And I looked at her and I said, like, E equals MC squared, because that is exactly what he is. And then she said, "Look at this TikTok. This squirrel has boobs." And I don't even know what just happened right there. Anyway, I realized that there are two interwoven stories in this novel. There is Harut and her shadow light, and there's also the story of Ettore, who has to learn to see. See, it's not enough to be a torch. You got to know where to shine that thing. Ettore begins as a photographer of Italian propaganda, using his camera to capture the glorious Italian invasion. But as the story progresses, he discovers that his true mission is to bear witness to the unsung heroes of the Ethiopian War. Now, I thought that was very clever, to use a character who truly knew what it felt like to be snuffed out. Because when you think about it, who else would even record or notice the heroism of the Ethiopians, except someone who had had their own history erased and exterminated by the fascists? I had to admire the way that especially the women of this unknown Ethiopian struggle got their time in the sun. And I wish I'd liked the book. I genuinely think that the premise of the book is sound. I can definitely see how it got onto the shortlist, but I just did not enjoy reading it. I was annoyed that I had to forage for information to make sense of the plot. But the biggest thing was that it's just super hard to read because the style is so boring on the eye. The pace felt slow, the descriptions weren't anchored in enough action, and it felt to me that she used 10 wafty words where she could have used 2 or 3, and that would have been good and dandy. Now, I can just feel you saying, "Barb, you're being a bit harsh. The book is so empowering." Look, and I say to you, no, I'm not. I'm firm, but I am fair. Isabella's going to do an outro featuring a list of things that Harut stole from Kidani and Aster. I swear that I did not make this list up. And this list appears twice. I don't think it's possible not to fall into a coma with lists like this. So, thank you so much for watching. And darlings, I will see you next time.